All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Nate Swinton. I'm Senior Counsel with the National Security Division of the U.S. Department of Justice, and I serve as the National Coordinator for DOJ for the Disruptive Technology Strike Force. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Department of Justice today and to our first inaugural meeting of the Disruptive Technology Protection Network. I'm very honored to introduce or to bring on stage Matt Olsen, the Assistant Attorney General for National Security and one of the co-leads of the Disruptive Technology Strike Force. He's going to be introducing our first speaker for the morning. Thanks.
Thank you, and good morning and welcome to you all. It is my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker of the day, Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco. A little more than a year ago, Ms. Monaco announced the creation of an innovative and unified effort to combat the threat that's posed by the transfer of technology to our adversaries, the Disruptive Technology Strike Force. As you know, this strike force brings together prosecutors and agents from around the country and from several U.S. agencies. So we are extremely grateful and appreciative for her leadership and her vision that has been behind this effort from the beginning, and very excited to have Ms. Monaco here as our first speaker this morning. Please join me in welcoming the Deputy Attorney General.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our great hall. It's wonderful to have you all here. I am really pleased to be joining you today. For those of you visiting the Justice Department for the first time, I am really proud to welcome you in particular to this space. We call this the Justice Department Great Hall, and it is a space that we use to honor the most significant achievements within the department. So we are joined for today's summit by partners from Japan and the Republic of Korea, and I can think of no better place for this convening with such valued allies. Now, I want to thank the delegations comprised of senior officials from key agencies in your governments for joining us today. And I want to thank in particular my colleagues at the Justice Department's National Security Division, the Commerce Department, and all of our interagency partners for leading the U.S. delegation today and for spearheading our Disruptive Technology Strike Force. Today's summit reflects our shared commitment to a critical principle. In combating today's national security threats, we cannot go it alone. We must work together. We must partner, not only across our governments, but across the globe. That's why last August, President Biden convened the leaders of our three nations at Camp David. Those talks stressed the importance of enhancing law enforcement cooperation across our countries to address unprecedented threats, including how we prevent the abuse of disruptive technologies by our adversaries. The commitments made at Camp David helped lead us here today, and they sparked the formation of the Disruptive Technology Protection Network. Our countries are working together across our enforcement agencies to deepen information sharing, enhance coordination, and achieve greater impact together. Because the threats we face are urgent. So we must do everything possible to prevent our most critical and innovative technologies from being used to endanger international peace and our collective security. Now, this network builds on the work of our Disruptive Technology Strike Force, a venture that, as Matt mentioned, I announced last year, and that is co-led by the Department of Justice and the Department of Commerce. This effort joins federal agencies and our forces across our federal agencies, bringing together our top experts to strike back against adversaries who are trying to siphon our most powerful technologies and use them against us. Now, together, we've made great strides in mitigating threats posed by adversaries and autocrats across the globe. So far, the strike force has made 16 arrests and secured 4 guilty pleas of executives, engineers, distributors, and other high-profile targets from around the world for crimes ranging from alleged sanctions violations and export control violations to money laundering and stealing trade secrets. And we've taken action against companies in the defense, airline, and freight forwarding industries, cutting off their access to sensitive U.S. technologies. Despite these accomplishments, though, we're clear-eyed. These threats will continue to grow and evolve, and they will not be contained by any border. That's why we're all here together today, because our most critical tool is one that we don't share with our adversaries, and that's the power of our partnerships. We need to leverage those partnerships now more than ever, because we are confronting the same malign actors. Autocracies seeking to project power at home and abroad, some who are pushing propaganda on social media fueled by powerful algorithms. Malign actors like adversaries challenging norms, and rogue nation-states determined to undermine democracy and the rule of law. From China backing cyber hackers who target international businesses and political leaders, to Russia unleashing the most significant land invasion in Europe since the Second World War, to Iran plotting to assassinate dissidents around the globe. The threats we face today play out on battlefields and economic zones and in information spaces. They play out in the cyber attacks that vacuum up sensitive data and exploit restricted technology. And they play out on the cell phones we carry and the online apps we enjoy, which nation-state adversaries can weaponize to steal our data and control the content we access. Just this week, our president signed bipartisan legislation to address the national security threat posed by online apps controlled by foreign adversaries, including TikTok. Because these actors are not only attempting to exert influence today, they're positioning themselves for the conflicts of tomorrow. They seek tactical advantage by acquiring, using, and abusing disruptive technology. And because artificial intelligence is the ultimate disruptive technology, our strike force has placed AI at the very top of its enforcement priority list. But no matter how technology changes, we know our strike force model works. By joining forces at home and abroad, by coming together today and in the days to come, we reinforce our shared commitment to this vital mission. So I look forward to the work that we will all do together, and I thank you for your partnership. And before I conclude, I want to share a special appreciation, though, for our 2 U.S. co-leads of this important initiative. Assistant Attorney General Matt Olsen of the Justice Department's National Security Division and Assistant Secretary for Export Enforcement Matt Axelrod from the Commerce Department. Their leadership has been instrumental on this issue and instrumental in the success of our disruptive technology strike force. So thank you to both of them and to their teams. And once again, thank you to all of you for joining today's summit. Thank you for the work you are doing to strike back against our adversaries around the world as we attack tomorrow's national security threats today. Thank you very much.
All right, I'd like to invite the other heads of delegation for the United States, Assistant Secretary Matt Axelrod and Deputy Assistant Attorney General Bruce Schwartz, as we move into the leadership portion of our event. Thank you.
Good morning again, and welcome to you all. I'll join with my colleagues on the stage, Bruce Schwartz and Matt Axelrod, in expressing our appreciation for you being here at the Department of Justice. This is an important event, and I especially want to express my deepest appreciation to our esteemed colleagues from the Republic of Korea and from Japan who are with us today. We are honored by your presence and by your commitment to our common efforts, so thank you so much for joining us. We're very excited about this event, and we look forward to the opportunity today to talk in more detail about the important work that we're doing, to hear from you all and to learn from you about your efforts in this area to stop technology from unlawfully being transferred outside of the borders of our countries. Our partnership could not come at a more critical time. As you just heard from the Deputy Attorney General, the national security threats that we face today are unprecedented, they are complex, and they are urgent. So I would like to just spend a couple minutes in my opening remarks this morning talking about how we see the threat in this area when it comes to disruptive technologies. Countries like Russia and China, Iran, North Korea, these countries are all persistent in their efforts to get their hands on the critical technologies that are emerging in areas such as artificial intelligence, quantum computing, semiconductors, hypersonics, advanced computing, and biosciences. These are the revolutionary innovations that are poised to improve our lives around the world. But these are also the disruptive technologies that pose real dangers when they fall into the hands of our adversaries. So that's the challenge. These are the tools, for example, that can enhance the military capabilities of hostile countries, even ones that provide strategic advantages, technologies that provide strategic advantages over democracies. Russia wants technology to improve its cruise missile communications and electronic warfare systems to advance their war on Ukraine. With Secretary Axelrod, I was in Kyiv in Ukraine last fall, and we saw firsthand, the two of us saw firsthand, how these weapons are being used against the Ukrainian people and the damage they can inflict on innocent lives. For the Ukrainians we met, stopping the flow, the illegal flow of these technologies, of these weapons, is an essential component of their ability to defend their country. Russia, though, is not the only malign actor. Iran has developed missiles, unmanned missile aerial systems, and other related technologies. And it shares these technologies, these weapons, with rogue nation states, with terrorist groups, and with militant proxies in the Middle East. This is activity that threatens the peace and stability of the Middle East, but also beyond that region. And Iran's recent unprecedented attack on Israel using hundreds of drones and missiles is a stark reminder of the menacing potential uses of these advanced technologies. So we also know that China is at the center of efforts to facilitate the theft of trade secrets and sensitive technologies from other nations. Things like advanced software, hardware technology that's used in AI systems and autonomous systems. These are the technologies that can be used to engage in mass surveillance. They stifle dissent. They suppress those who speak out against the Chinese government, including dissident populations in the United States and around the world. So the reality is that in the wrong hands, these technologies risk reshaping the balance of power between free nations like the ones represented in this room and authoritarian nations. We created this strike force, the Disruptive Technology Strike Force, last year to counter these threats, to bring together prosecutors that you see in this room, along with agents and investigators also present here and represented in this room from around the U.S. government, to join forces, to join together on a common cause, to stop hostile regimes from obtaining these technologies that have the potential to upend the world order. But here's the thing, we can't do it alone. As the Deputy Attorney General said, this is a global problem and it demands a global response. our partnership with the Republic of Korea and with Japan, and the partnerships we have with other like-minded nations are critical to our ability to succeed in this effort. So that's why we are really so proud to join forces with you all in launching here today the Disruptive Technology Protection Network. So by coming together and lending assistance and learning from each other through enhanced information sharing and law enforcement cooperation, we can meet these threats together head on. So again, thank you so much for being here. We look so forward to the conversations today and for our continued partnership in the days ahead. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the glowing introduction, Matt. That was a joke. And anyway, thank you all for joining us today to kick off the Disruptive Technology Protection Network. As first envisioned by the leadership of our 3 countries at Camp David this past summer. Our gathering together here in this great hall and the formal launch of this joint effort couldn't come at a more important time. As you just heard from Deputy Attorney General Monaco and Assistant Attorney General Olsen, the world is at an inflection point. Powerful new technologies like generative artificial intelligence are greatly increasing the risk of future asymmetric threats to our collective national security. As Assistant Secretary for Export Enforcement at the Department of Commerce, I lead a team of law enforcement agents and analysts who work all day, every day, to keep our country's most sensitive technology out of the world's most dangerous hands. But we don't do that work alone. Last year, we partnered with the Department of Justice to stand up the Disruptive Technology Strike Force, which brings together agents, analysts, and prosecutors in 17 different locations across the United States to disrupt foreign actors who are trying to obtain advanced U.S. technology. The strike force uses an all-tools approach to disruption, from bringing criminal indictments to adding parties to the Commerce Department's entity list. The strike force harnesses the authorities of each partner agency, DOJ, Commerce, FBI, Homeland Security Investigations, and the Defense Criminal Investigative Service, both to prevent bad actors from acquiring our highest priority technologies and to hold them accountable if they do. We're more impactful when we work together. And that impact is undeniable. Over the last year, the strike force has charged 16 cases against Russian, Chinese, and Iranian procurement networks for the transfer of sensitive information, goods, and military-grade technology. Last month, in 2 different cases, the strike force indicted 3 people accused of stealing advanced trade secrets related to electric vehicles and artificial intelligence. The strike force's work has also led to temporary denial orders being issued against nearly 30 entities and the addition of multiple parties to the entity list. But as much as we've been able to accomplish here in the United States, more needs to be done to meet the moment the world currently faces. Our actions alone are insufficient to match the threat posed by our adversaries. And that's exactly why our collective leadership, President Biden, Prime Minister Kishida, and President Yoon, agreed last year to expand our collaboration on technology protection measures. It's why they charged all of us with creating and implementing the Disruptive Technology Protection Network, a partnership that brings our technology partnership teams together. Through this network, which we're formalizing today with the signing of the 2 memoranda of intent, we will expand our information sharing and exchange of best practices across enforcement agencies of our 3 countries. In so doing, we will strengthen our collective ability to protect our advanced technology. I thank you again for joining us today, but even more so for joining in this critically important endeavor. I can't wait to see what we are able to accomplish together through the Disruptive Technology Protection network. I know for a lot of you, it's your first time here in the Great Hall and at the Department of Justice. But my guess is it's not the first time for many of you meeting or hearing from Bruce Schwartz, because if there's something that the Department of Justice is doing that involves a country outside of the United States, Bruce is at the helm and is one of the people leading the effort. So I'm very excited that you now get to hear from Bruce Schwartz.
Well, thank you, Matt. I was afraid that was going to be a warning of some kind, but let me begin by saying good morning to all of you colleagues. In my closing remarks for the U.S. team, there are 3 brief points I would like to make. First, we start from an exceptionally strong foundation. As you know, as Jeff Olsen and Mindy G from our Office of International Affairs regularly report, and as I know from my own personal experience, we have very strong, very warm relations with the Republic of Korea, with Japan. You are our key partners on mutual legal assistance and on extradition. So everything that we are doing through this network builds on that starting point. My second point is we will be stronger as a result of this network. It gives us the opportunity to increase our information sharing, to eliminate barriers for exchanges, whether that's of best practices, as Matt has mentioned, and to coordinate as well, where appropriate, on investigations. And I urge us to take that opportunity. As we all know, formal assistance is critical, particularly when we're building cases, but it's the informal exchanges that are really the heart and soul of this. And the memoranda of understanding that we will be entering into make clear that we have the authority to do that and we should seize upon it. And my third point is this network is a critical and important signal to our adversaries. General Stanley McChrystal famously said that it takes a network to defeat a network. And that is exactly what we are doing here. We are building a network of allies who can go after the network of our adversaries, the malign networks that seek to steal and misuse our critical technology. You really are at the beginning point of a critical network that will not only be important in and of itself, but it be an important signal to the world, really, of our commitment on this point. So thank you again for being here. We look forward to our discussions today, and even more importantly, as Matt and the Deputy Attorney General have said, the work that will continue hereafter. Thank you.